this to ask for forgiveness. But good idea. We could do that too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Once you texted you some alternative dates, it just was falls apart. We take unlimited number more than
Can you hear us? Yeah, we can. Okay, very good. You left that one. Yeah, I left because I closed it. And we'll
And I will see if she can watch. Somebody. A bad idea, but. Kevin, do you have your Superman cape on today? He's got an S on.
We have to use the computer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna charge you for the use of state, you got it. Cash. You take Venmo,
Can you guys hear us online?
inside joke.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Sorry for the delay. We're gonna get started just a second. We're gonna orient ourselves here in the office. Yeah, my apologies. We had some difficulties with the laptops going on here. Okay, Chair, if you're ready to roll, we're live and recording.
Members online.
We have how many members online? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 members online.
Yes.
Yes, we have quorum. Attendees are in. Yep, ready when you are, Chair.
Welcome to the April 30th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Agribusiness Development Corporation. I am the Chair, Jason Watts. Prior to calling the meeting to order, Ken Nakamoto of the ADC staff will explain how the public can participate in this hybrid meeting with them access by video conference call.
Should Hi, for those of you joining online, your microphones will automatically be muted. When the chairperson is asked for public testimony, you may click the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen to indicate that you wish to testify about that agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chairperson, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you have finished speaking. For those of you joining by phone, when the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering star and then 9 on the voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing star and then 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, please press star and then 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone, as well as in-person access, when testifying, you'll be asked to identify yourself and organization that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 2 minutes per agenda item.
Thanks, Ken. This meeting is called to order at 9:30 a.m. I will take a roll call of the board members who are present. When your name is called, please verbally acknowledge your presence and state who, if anyone is over the age of 18, is present in the room with you.
You guys froze.
Board member Jesse Cook,
Present and alone.
the board member David Inazumi,
Present and alone.
board member Ben Hahn,
Present in the in-person board meeting.
chairperson Hurd,
Present and in the room.
chairperson Kanako Ole,
Present and alone.
board member Dino Kiboro, present, vice chair Yokohama,
Present in the room.
board member Karen Seddon,
Here and alone.
board member Nathan Trump,
Present and alone.
the member Watt was present, and in the board meeting, deputy director Winter. He's excused, he had to step out for legislative questions. Members are reminded to have their camera turned on and remain on screen during the meeting. especially during the vote, so the record will clearly reflect who was present at the time the vote was convened. We don't have any meeting minutes to approve, no chair's report. We'll be deferring the two pig reports. The request of the chair, admin president. Moving on to action items. Agenda item E1. But we'll be taking agenda item E3 out of order. I think the attorneys are on the call. Agenda item E3. Is a request to delegate authority to the executive director to complete negotiations in the best interest of the state and execute that certain purchase and sale agreement with Grove Farm Company Incorporated for land situated east of Mahalo Road in Honolulu, County of Hawaii, State of Hawaii, tax map B number 4, 3-8-018-001 portion, including discussion and decision regarding the final acreage to be included in the agreement or request the board. The board may go into executive session pursuant to section 9-5 to consult with its attorneys on questions and issues pertaining to the board's power, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities. Is there a motion? Motion. Oh, thank you, Vice Chair Yokohama. Is there a second? Second. Oh, thank you, Board Okimuro. Is there a staff presentation?
Again, then Chair, before we continue, I just need to note that I need to recuse myself. So if somebody can just text me when I can come back into my office.
Sure. Thank you, Board Member Mizumi. Is there a staff presentation?
There is Chair. By Lyle. Lyle, we can't hear you. Still can't hear you.
I think that's us.
We can't hear Lyle either.
Sorry, Lyle, we can't hear you. Sorry, everybody online. I guess it's contagious. It started from me, and now it's affecting Lyle.
But you can see that I think there's a staff presentation is kind of like to load it.
Oh no, he's gonna load it up. She's loading it up. No. How would I access my email?
Can he call in or?
Because
Oh,
I have a presentation on here. This presentation. It's this is the
Note that the deputy director is in.
this is the presentation, but I want to be able to access it.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, check.
Before you, just, you want to know the presence of Deputy Director Wicker. Are you
Okay,
there?
are we, there is a presentation, if I can just collect myself for a moment here.
Yeah, give me a second now. Just want to acknowledge Deputy Director Wicker's presence and ask if he's alone in his room, office.
What item are we on, Chair?
We're on E3, but I just wanted to acknowledge your presence and.
Thank you. Okay.
So, member Worker, we took it out of order. So this is the first item. We're hearing out of order E3. So we haven't heard the others yet.
Okay, sorry, I don't acknowledge your presence.
Chair, you're really faint.
Sorry,
Oh.
present and alone. Thank you.
Deputy Director Wicker joins the meeting at 9:38.
Go ahead, Lau.
Okay. Thanks. This request is, I think, as the chair mentioned, is to authorize the executive director to finalize negotiations on the PSA and to execute the agreement. I think a confidential working draft of the document has been provided to the board members, but one of the main issues yet to be determined is the acreage that ADC will determine. If there are no objections, and I'm a little afraid to do this, I'm going to share my screen. Sorry, there's so much open here. Okay. Okay, can you guys see my screen
Yes.
share?
Yes.
Okay. So I think I just wanted to give an overview here of what we're looking at as far as acreage. You can see here on the right-hand side of the screen, this is property currently owned by ADC, or not owned, controlled and managed by ADC under our current executive order, CLEPA. And the area, the darker green area on your left is generally the area under acquisition from Grove. So we'll discuss that, the acreage, some of the budget implications, and there'll be some questions. This is really the area that we're looking at. In general, this is the major portion of the parcel. The board has approved, I think, 1,040 acres, with 40 of that reserved for Department of Corrections for a facility. After when Grove began doing survey work for subdivision, the actual acreage came out to be a little bit higher. Everything that's included here, with the exception of some industrial areas down here, it comes out to be 1,090. We'll get to that in the next slide. But Grove has indicated a willingness to adjust some of the property lines to meet acreage that we can handle or find appropriate. The highlights of the property, Grove initially asked 39,000 per acre. Appraisal price, you can see the appraisal price came back at 3,730 or 35,267 per acre. All of the lands under acquisition here are zoned ag. There's no industrial lands included. It's immediately adjacent to our CLEPA property, and I think it's probably close to 1.5 miles, 2 miles worth of a shared border with our CLEPA property. there's other infrastructure nearby. There's potable water that goes down Mahalo Road for any eventual processing that we may need to have access to. Future Bypass Road is nearby. Water treatment plant is nearby. The power plant's nearby, and it's also ideally located near the airport, well, within close distance to the airport and the ports. There are currently agricultural tenants on the property. So the initial approval was for 1,040 acres. Under that scenario, Grove would retain 51 acres, and it's sort of identified here. This is the entrance to the property right here along Mahalo Road, and so right here are the areas that Grove would retain under the for 1,040 acres. The next option would be for 1,076 acres. Grove is retaining 15. This portion right here. And then the final option, 1,091 acres, Grove would not retain any of that property. These are the options. This is sort of the quick and dirty look at the impact on budget between the three different options. We've already gone out for expenses associated with this include the board-approved special deputy attorney general. Here, $39 million was appropriated, roughly $192,000 for phase 1 ESA across the property. And so with those things in mind, with 38 million left, we're looking for 1,040 acres. You can see the breakdown here. This would be the cost. This would be the remaining roughly 2.3 million left for soft costs, which would include survey work, checking, reviewing encroachments, further due diligence, closing costs, possible phase 2 ESA. Under option 2, the 1,076 acres, we're looking at the cost runs about 37.9 million, with roughly $1 million left over for those soft costs. Under option 3, the 1,091 acres, we're missing a few zeros there, but 38 million or $38.4 million with about $500,000 left for the remaining soft costs. And that's really just a quick review of what those numbers look like.
Thanks, Alan. Any member of the public wish to offer testimony?
Seeing no hands raised, Chair.
Board members, any questions?
Yeah,
Board member Okimoto?
the soft costs, is there an estimate of what the soft costs are gonna be? Closing and everything else?
I don't have that with me, but I would I don't think there's we would be over, I think, if we went with the high up to the 1,091. I think we're probably in the 300,000 range if we need to do a phase 2. I don't have an estimate yet on the survey work and closing costs. We don't have that estimate yet. I do want to note that Mr. Horner, Don Horner of Grove Farm, is in attendance, who is available to answer questions. And I do believe the board's attorneys are also available and may wish to provide additional comments and context.
Any other board member discussion? Board member.
Good question. Behooves us to acquire all the properties, or, I mean, why, that's the cost reason why you broke it down into 3, or they wanted, Grove wants to keep the additional that 12 acres, or what's the reason for the two prices?
I have to apologize. I can barely hear what's going on at the in-person site.
Okay, I'll talk louder. What is the reason for the breakdown in the prices? Does Grove want to keep that parcels, or does it behooves us to actually take the whole 1,091? What's the reason for the breakdown?
No, I think Grove, Grove can speak to that personally, but my understanding is that Grove would prefer to sell all of that property. But it depends in part on, what ADC can afford when we factor in the soft costs, and then what we want to do. I don't know if Wendy can address whether or not there are funds elsewhere to cover, if we went with 1,091 acres, if there are funds elsewhere to cover some of those costs, or if that's even possible.
Sorry, Lance, Jason, yeah, so along the same lines of Vice Oklahoma and Fort Okimoro, whatever the closing costs are, whatever else survey work, including the special deputy attorney general that's been hired. I mean, and I'm assuming all the three options have been vetted, so, from a financial perspective, you just see that option 2 would be the safest. That will allow us to have some space financially to make sure we close properly. Does that sound accurate to you?
So Chair, to add on to what you just saw, I don't think you can do it.
Loud, can you hear me?
Very faintly.
My question is, well, a little bit of statement kind of question is, along the lines of what Vice Chair Oklahoma and Board Member Okimoto expressed. With the survey work that's still pending, and we don't know what that dollar amount is, with the closing costs, as we don't know that it is. We also have a special deputy attorney general that was hired, we don't know what that cost is. It seems like, and I'm assuming that all three options have been vetted by the lawyers, so option 2 seems to be the safest financial decision for us, right? Because we have enough space to close. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Okay, Wendy, sorry.
Well, echoing your point, with the third option, there's approximately $500,000 left. If you take off the $200K that's committed for the special deputy, $190K for the phase 1, that only leaves us with $110K to do the closing costs, and that would be a little tight.
Yes. Any other board members have questions?
Well, by the same token. Because it's all contiguous, this is a time where, if we really wanna promote ag and keep it all intact in a certain area, to have control of that much acreage and be able to build out farmers and that kind of acreage. Having 15, well, I guess 15 acres is not that much. But Grove farming is a farming entity also, so. Yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with the second option, but so. If at all possible, I would have thought, take the whole thing.
Perfect. Thank you, board member Otsuboto. I guess this is. Can't ask you a question. What is the sorry, what is the process going forward? So if we approve this today, you guys will come back again. Final approval?
Yes, if it's approved with the acreage and approved for the negotiation of the PSA, we will need to come back with our due diligence results and present those to the board to decide to acquire or not. There will be another
If we get to that point, I mean, can we give you approval today and you give us more definitive answer on the dollar amounts?
We could keep you posted.
I think answer that question, right? I mean, because I think we move to that point. As long as legally we're all kosher with respect to increasing the acreage. We want to maximize the purpose, right? But we don't have money to exceed.
Correct.
What's been appropriated on the closing site, the agency doesn't have a budget for that, so we can't go over. But I don't wanna just tell you no. So is that?
This is from the online.
But- Jennifer, Kelsey, is it possible for me to come back to the board with a
You gotta speak up.
final number of what we think our closing costs are going to be? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm looking at Jennifer or Kelsey.
Online can't hear you good, just letting you know, like, it sounds like complaints.
Okay, sorry, you said the implement.
I'm asking the AGs, is it okay, is it appropriate legally for the staff to come back to the board once we know our final closing costs? So if there's funds available, we would go with the larger amount, or is that?
I don't know of a legal impediment to coming back to the board, I guess. So if you're asking if it's legally allowed, yes.
Okay, so we could come back when we're ready to acquire, we'll have the final costs, and then they can decide what the final acreage is?
Yeah, so I
Okay,
think members, we are.
wait, Kelsey's saying no.
No.
I think we need to go with that. Okay,
Oh, okay, executive session being recommended, so members, if there's. We can take a vote here.
So I guess make a motion to go in exec session to consult the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities related to this agenda item.
Okay, so members, pursuant to HRS section 92-4, the board will be discussing agenda item E3. To allow the board to confer with its attorney pursuant to HRS section 92-5 E4. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Motion with it.
Vice Chair Yokohama, is there a second? Second. Inoto. Before we go into executive session, is there anyone from the public wishing to testify regarding the decision to go into executive session?
No hands raised, Chair.
Seeing none, conduct a roll call.
Oh, sorry, one hand raised, Chair. Hold on. Go ahead, Mr. Horner,
Yes, can you hear me?
loud and clear.
Respectfully, the steps for this subdivision, we need specifically what the acreage is to complete the survey map in order to submit it to the county for subdivision approval. So we can't have we need the exact survey components. So that's the only challenge. So the longer we wait, then the more challenge we've got, which means the appraisals are getting stale and other problems. So respectfully, I'm just simply saying that I appreciate that you want to wait until you know exactly what the closing costs are. I think you can get an estimate, but as one member said, that 1076, we prefer the 1091 because as members have said, that gives you all the land on the east side of Mahalo Road. The 15 acres we would keep in order to get it down to the more comfortable number, leaving you $1 million of soft costs, which for my 40 years experience seems to be frankly excessive. But the 176, we would keep that 15 acres. And I'll tell you 30-some% of that is not even farmable because it's topography wise. So it's not like that's some sort of quote precious. It's just the easiest way because we need to leave the remainder of that whole TMK is over 6,000 acres. So Grove Farm needs to carve off for the county purposes X amount. And that amount we need to know specifically in order to get get the map started, which is a fairly lengthy process through preliminary and final subdivision through the planning commission of the county. So that's respectfully, I'm asking, hopefully, if you give me direction as to what the acres ADC would like to get.
Mr. Juan, I don't think the objection is, I don't think there's any objection to the 1091. Except for that, we don't know that we have enough money to execute that.
I think the motion before the board now is if we're gonna go into executive session.
Yes. Anyone else in the public wishing to testify?
Seeing none, Chair.
If not, then we taking a roll call vote on entering executive session. Board Member Cook,
Yes.
Board Member Hinazumi, excuse. Board Member Hong,
Yes.
Board Member Hurd, yes. Board Member Kamako,
Yes.
Board Member. Yes. Board Member Oklahoma, yes. Board Member Seven,
Yes.
Board Member Trump,
Yes.
Board Member Watts votes yes. Board Member Wicker,
Yes.
thank you. All right, calling, so we'll be taking a recess and going into executive session.
If I could remind members to make sure you mute yourselves in Zoom. Whoever just said that, I can hear you.
Small zone, all that, okay, it's last time, so it's probably no, correct.
Karen, I need you to.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, it would be really helpful.
Can we stop talking?
It'd be really helpful if everybody could speak up. We really I can't hear.
Okay, Karen, your mic is unmuted in Zoom.
off right now.
Well, yeah, no, so
But now you're not.
we're back online. Can you guys hear me okay online? Okay, thank you, Ryan. Good job.
All right, calling the public meeting back to order at 10:40 a.m. Pursuant to HRS section 92-4B 2023. There was no, the following actions were taken by the board in executive session. The board discussed agenda item E3 that required the board to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
Seeing no hand raised, Chair.
Any further board discussion? Yeah, bye.
He needs that, he needs that. Yeah.
Okay, so we are back on the agenda item E3. Members, are you okay? We're gonna amend the motion.
We won't need to tell me. The motion brought it up. That's what I was gonna ask, yeah.
So we're not gonna,
Addition to.
okay. All right, members, we're taking final vote on the motion, which is agenda item E3, which is a request to delegate authority to the executive director to complete negotiations in the best interest of the state of Hawaii and execute that certain purchase and sale agreement with Grove Farm Company Incorporated for land situated east of Ma'alo Road in Honolulu, Hui, County of Kauai, state of Hawaii, tax map key number 4/3-8/018/001 portion. Do I have to list the acreage, Kelsey? We have to list the acreage?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what, on the, whatever the board's middle sense.
Okay. Including, well, that's not what the motion is. But. Okay, so this is different. Okay, board members, my error. The staff submittal is to request to delegate authority to the executive director to complete negotiations in the best interest of the state of Hawaii and execute a certain purchase and sale agreement with Grove Farm Company Incorporated for approximately 1040 acres, more or less, of land situated east of Ma'alo Road at Honolulu, Hui, County of Kauai, state of Hawaii, tax map key number 4/3-8/018/001 portion. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Board member Okimoto.
Second.
Is there a second? Board member Yokohama? Board member Cook?
Yes.
Board member Cook?
Yes. Are you
Jesse,
Asking
could
me?
you hear the motion? We're voting.
No, I said yes, but
Oh.
we can't hear him.
Oh,
Yes. I,
I can hear you.
yeah, I don't know, they can't hear me.
Oh, is Jen speaking too?
Oh, no, I can hear him. I,
They're all speaking. What happened?
Oh, he put in the chat that he votes yes. Is that?
you gotta say it.
Yes,
Can you guys hear us?
yeah,
We can hear you, yes.
Can you hear him? He's saying yes.
can you hear
they
us?
can't hear us.
Oh, God.
Just you need to say it a few more times.
Yeah.
Maybe you gotta do sign language.
Was that, sorry?
He doesn't have, he's really easy. Well, not yet, we're almost done.
We have to vote, then he comes back.
Huh? Yeah.
Jen is talking, we can't hear.
Sorry.
Can you guys hear us now? Can you speak up?
Well, we could always hear.
Yeah, we can't hear them. We're not receiving.
That's fine. You can hear it. You see the speaker, this is on. Try now.
Can you folks hear us? Can we hear them?
Can you guys say something
Oh,
on my?
hello.
There you go. Okay. Loud and clear, Jesse.
Okay,
Okay,
I voted yes.
okay. Right, Jen, you had a question?
No. I was just telling Jesse I could hear him, but I didn't think you guys could hear us.
Okay, board member Hinazumi recused. Board member Hong,
Yes.
board member Hurd,
Yes.
board member Kanako,
Yes.
board member Okimoto,
Yes.
board member Oklahoma,
Yes.
board member Seddon,
Yes.
board member Trump,
Yes.
board member Watts votes yes, board member Wicker.
Yes.
Alright, and ayes. Motion is adopted.
Can I repeat?
Yeah. Give us 1 second to invite board member Hinazumi back.
New hearing aids. Warden. Info, comments will walk forward. Okay, yeah, so kind of. Once we do the due diligence process like this. Interesting. Yeah, well, that's. Page one. I don't think. If you want to make a definition, I don't basically try and still. Just read told listing, you can easily find if you really wanted to, right? Very true.
Alright, welcome back, board member Hinazumi. At 10:50 AM. Right, members, moving back to agenda item E1. Action item E1 is to direct the executive director to negotiate and execute an emergency agreement with the United States Navy at the Pacific Missile Range Facility, authorizing the immediate mobilization and operation of critical drainage infrastructure for an indefinite period unless superseded by a long-term memorandum of understanding or intergovernmental support agreement, IGSA, to address persistent flood conditions exacerbated by the Kona low storm system, provided that the Navy shall remit payment to the Agribusiness Development Corporation for any and all operational costs and usage fees associated with this emergency authorization. Subject infrastructure situated at Kekaha, District of Waimea, County of Kauai, State of Hawaii, at or approximate to tax map key numbers 4-1-2, 002, 001, portion, and 012. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Yokohama. Is there a staff presentation? Lyle?
Chair, there's no staff presentation.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
One hand raised, Chair.
Oh.
Go ahead, Ms. Cruz.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members. My name is Kylie Wager Cruz. I'm an attorney with Earth Justice, and I just wanted to state for the record that currently nothing about our ongoing litigation or NPDES permit process prohibits ADC from operating the Kawaii pump station and discharging from the associated outfall. There is a permit that remains in effect that authorizes the discharge, but those discharges are supposed to comply with the permit limits and monitoring requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. Anyone else from the public wish to give testimony?
Seeing no hands raised, Chair.
If not, is there any board discussion? Seeing none.
I do
Oh yeah, go ahead, Chair.
I'd like to add, normally in a submittal, there's a recommendation. Lyle, is there a recommendation on this measure?
No, this is not a staff recommendation.
Yeah, so.
This is a directive from the board.
So we did, this is a board submittal to direct ED to work with the Attorney General to look at some emergency operation of the pumps at the MRF. And then the second submittal is related to this as well. If there's no further board discussion, we have to roll call. Board Member Cook.
Yes.
Board Member Hidezumi.
Yes.
Board Member Hong.
Yes.
Board Member Hurd.
Yes.
Board Member Kanako-Ole.
Yes.
Board Member Okiboro.
Yes.
Board Member Okuhama.
Yes.
Board Member Seddon.
Yes.
Board Member Trump.
Yes.
Board Member Watts votes yes. Board Member Wicker.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Measure is adopted. Moving on to item E2. Is related to this, but this is for a long-term contract to direct the executive director to enter into formal negotiations and execute a long-term intergovernmental support agreement or memorandum of understanding with the United States Navy at Pacific Missile Range Facility for the long-term management, execution, and operation of the Kauai LA Pump Station and related drainage infrastructure, provided that such agreement establishes a sustainable framework for long-term flood mitigation and explicitly stipulates that the United States Navy shall be responsible for and remit payment to the Agribusiness Development Corporation for any and all costs associated with the operation, maintenance, and administrative oversight of said pumps. Subject infrastructure is situated at Kekaha, District of Waimea, County of Kauai, State of Hawaii, at or approximate to tax map key numbers 4-1-2, 002, 001, portion 012. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Vice Chair Okuhara. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation? No, there isn't, but board members, this action is related to the previous one. To allow the ED with the Department of the Attorney General to work with the Navy to come up with respond to request for proposals and come up with a plan for ADC to operate the pumps long-term at Kauai LA. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony?
See, one hand raised, Chair.
Yes.
Go ahead again, Ms. Cruz.
Aloha again, Chair, Vice Chair, and board members. Kylie Weger Cruz, Earth Justice. You have our written testimony in your board package, which clarifies that we take no position on whether ADC operates the Kauai LA pump station or not. We just wanted to clarify for the record that the federal district court ruled that the entire ditch system is a point source, not just the pumps. And so regardless of whether ADC operates the Kauai LA pump station, it's responsible for getting an NPDES permit since it owns and operates miles and miles of drainage ditches that lead to the station and that necessitate discharge to the ocean. We've also been hearing through our community members and partners that there's been talk of the fact that if ADC is not manually opening the other drainage ditch outfalls along the ocean, then they're not responsible for that discharge. We respectfully challenge that view because regardless of whether those sand berms are opened with an excavator or naturally breached, ADC is again responsible for the miles and miles of ditches leading up to those points that necessitate the opening, whether it be manually or naturally. And again, ADC can open these ditches during storm events because they have authorization to discharge under an NPDES permit. They just need to comply with effluent limitations and the monitoring requirements. And really, at the end of the day, ADC should start implementing measures to comply with the permit. Even though ADC is challenging certain aspects of the permit, there are standard conditions that would be required in any future permit, like limits for turbidity, nutrients, and bacteria. ADC has already been violating these effluent limitations and need to begin addressing the situation, whether it be hiring consultants to design and implement measures to clean things up. And ADC can also charge the Navy its fair share for permit compliance. That's all. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Ms. Cruz. Is there any further public testimony?
Seeing no hands raised, Chair.
All right, thank you. Is there board discussion? Seeing none, Board Member Cook,
Yes.
Board Member Hinazumi,
Yes.
Board Member Hong,
Yes.
Board Member Hurd,
Yes.
Board Member Kanaka Ole,
Yes.
Board Member Okimoto,
Yes.
Board Member Yokohama,
Yes.
Board Member Seddon,
Yes.
Board Member Trump,
Yes.
Board Member Watts votes yes, Board Member Wicker.
Yes.
Measure is adopted. Thank you, members. Item E3. Here it is. All right, members, moving on to item E4 is a request to delegate authority to the executive director to negotiate terms in the best interest of the state and execute that certain reservoir transfer agreement for the acquisition of Helamano 6 Reservoir, state ID is OA0023, and the Kemo'o 5 Reservoir, state ID OA0021, owned by Dole Food Company Incorporated and the Wahiawa Water Company Incorporated situated in central Oahu, city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, including tax map key number 16-4-003-022, 16-5-001, and 057. The board may go into executive session pursuant to section 92-5A4 to consult with the board's attorney. Is there is there a motion?
Second.
Board member Hong, second by board member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation?
Thanks, Chair. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, I feel obligated to ask. Just quickly, I'm just a quick little summary of this. Mark was supposed to handle this, but he's otherwise indisposed. But I just want to note that this request deals with the reservoirs that are associated with and part of the Wahiawa irrigation system, but which were not explicitly identified in Act 218, which authorized and funded the acquisition of this system. In the case of both Keamu'u 5 and Helomano 6, the reservoirs are an essential integral part of the system. The ditch flows into the reservoir and a separate outlet allows water out of the reservoir. There's no bypass, there's no discrete throughway that allows the water system or the system water to bypass the reservoirs. They're an essential component of the system. The reservoirs are necessary for the full functionality of the system. As a submittal notes, DLNR Engineering Dam Safety rates both of these reservoirs in poor condition. And with the acquisition of the primary portion of the system, Dole will provide both reservoirs to ADC gratis. But there would be responsibility on ADC's part eventually to bring these into compliance, which probably it won't be cheap. I think there are some. I don't know what the status of the bills are, but I know there was some irrigation money under discussion at the ledge to help manage water infrastructure. I'm not sure what the status of that is at the moment. And I guess lastly to note that this request is made out of an abundance of caution to separate this acquisition of these two reservoirs from the primary acquisition of the Wahiawa irrigation system. Just to ensure conformance with the language of Act 218.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to give testimony? Is there any board discussion?
Yes, Chair. I have a question.
Board member Itazumi, go ahead.
So Lyle, if this is and appreciate you guys the diligence you guys are going to make sure this is clearly addressed. If this is not specifically stated in Act 218, does this mean we have more time than the June 30th deadline that we discussed last meeting about Wahiawa itself? Just asking out of diligence. We appreciate all the time you guys staff has put into all of these things, and just with limited resources, if you got to prioritize, your work. So just asking.
It probably does. The issue we run into, of course, is that these reservoirs are an integral part of the system. I don't think you can operate the system without also having operational control of these reservoirs. There's a bit of a workaround under discussion that may be up for consideration at the next meeting that might mitigate some of this, but that's not agendized, so I don't want to get into it. But I mean, the basic answer is you can't really operate the full system without having control of these reservoirs. So I think we would aim for June 30th or thereabouts or shortly thereafter.
Okay,
that's just the reality of the system, I think.
Yeah, I understand, the role it plays within the entire system, but let's just double check and make sure that we know what the deadline is to wrap these up as well. Because if it is June 30th, we need to make sure we meet that deadline. So that's all. It's just something to keep in mind as you guys work through this.
Well, I'll defer to council on on that.
So,
I'm not qualified
so-
to answer it,
so-
but I would think
Lyle,
that
Lyle,
it's,
so, Lyle, so we talked yesterday about this. This is, they're not the same,
right.
right? This is not part of Act 218. This does not fall under the same deadline as June 30. There are still a number of due diligence documents the ADC staff has not produced to the appropriate authorities for review and approval, correct?
hmm
So, you know, we have to go through that due diligence process, but to answer the board member Hinazumi's question, there are still, these are not, it isn't tied to June 30. I understand that this is part of the system, but this wasn't a part of the original Act 218 sale. And so ADC still needs to go through its proper due diligence process, get current valuations, et cetera, before final approval is given. So that really, I think, is dependent on how fast and how quickly, you know, ADC staff can complete, those items. But I think this approval today, you guys will come back again, right, one more time. And so at that time, will you guys be able to give us a better idea as to what that timeline looks like?
Well, this request is for to complete the negotiations and execute the transfer agreement. But after that, yes, we would come back with the due diligence findings to the board and request, final authorization to purchase.
Okay, because, yeah, because there's still some outstanding items that was brought to our attention, correct? So we want to make sure we satisfy that, but I don't want to rush anybody into decision-making until all that's properly, completed. So to Board Member Hinazumi's question, just want to make sure you folks would give us a timeline to expect documents, or not us actually, whoever is involved in the process, so that they can sign off to the board that has been completed. That's important for us to know. But to keep in mind, this is added on to the Act 218 discussions, correct?
Correct.
Any further board discussion? Good, Board Member Yokohama.
Yeah, I missed last meeting unfortunately, so I don't know what the discussion was regarding this matter, but just from what I read, I guess the amount of liability we're assuming with not just the main dam, but then also these reservoirs and dam, and the amount of recommended repairs, maintenance, and some of the degree of urgent corrective actions recommended, those things, poor condition. I'm just concerned about, we said, well, we'll do some improvements eventually, but when is that eventually? I mean, I get concerned again about, I mean, I know there's controls that can turn off the water flow and so forth, but again, after what we saw with the rains and stuff, I just get concerned. When will we ever get to really make the improvements necessary? Anyway, maybe that's just a statement.
Okay.
No, I would add to that, I agree. I think that, one of my concerns, back to even finances, is the legislature is concluding, I mean, do we have the appropriate resources to handle this come July 1? I think that's some of the questions that are still, outstanding. We're not a private company, we're a government agency and we depend on appropriations. So, there's a lot of, I think, risk that still needs to be addressed. And I would appreciate taking the appropriate time to do that. That's why I want to point out that the Act 218 and this are not the same timeline. Any further board discussion? Sorry, I'm gonna add some more. I did see some of the documents and I do have concerns too on the dates of the documents. Some of them are like 20 years old, so I have concerns about like if that's the appropriate valuation to be used in today's dollars, and even some of the violations are very old, and I haven't been told what the status is of those violations, if they've ever been cured, or if they're still pending, and if they're pending, have they gotten worse or whatnot? So I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, that will be answered through the due diligence process. So Anyway, any further board discussion? If not, Board Member Cook,
Yes.
Board Member Hinazumi,
Yes.
Board Member Hong.
Yeah.
Board Member Hurd,
Yes.
Board Member Kanaka Ole,
Yes.
Board Member Okimoto,
Yes.
Board Member Okuhama,
Yes.
Board Member Seddon,
Yes.
Board Member Trump,
Yes.
Board Member Watts votes yes, Board Member Wicker.
Yes.
Measure is adopted. Thank you, members. Moving on to item E5 is a request for approval to issue a short-term revocable permit to the Central Oahu Chief Petty Officers Association for parking access on Agribusiness Development Corporation property situated at Whitmore Village, District of Wahiawa, City and County of Honolulu, State of Hawaii, tax map keys number 17-1-001-005, portion 17-1-002-037, portion 044, portion, and 041, portion. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Vice Chair Yokohama. Is there a second? Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Is there a staff presentation? Lyle. Benito, staff presentation.
I'll give it a stab here. This is the Central Oahu Chief Petty Officers Association puts on an event every year, the Pineapple Run in Wahiawa, in and around Wahiawa, and we've done this in years past. Allow use of areas of ADC property for parking for the events. So.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public wishing to give testimony?
No, I'm very sure.
Is there any board discussion? If not, Board Member Cook,
Yes.
Board Member Hinazumi,
Yes.
Board Member Hong, Board Member Hurd,
Yes.
Board Member Kanaka Ole,
Yes.
Board Member Okimoto,
Yes.
Board Member Okuhama.
Yes.
Board Member Seddon,
Yes.
Board Member Trump,
Yes.
Board Member Watts votes yes, Board Member Wicker.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The measure is adopted. Okay. Moving on to informational items. Is item F1 is a presentation by the Executive Director regarding current and pending grant applications. But Wendy, can we go out of order a little bit? Because I'm trying to organize it in a kind of way that can we go first to item F2, talking about the presentation by the ED regarding any non-encumbered or potentially lapsing funds effective June 30, 2026.
Thank you, Chair. There is an attachment or inclusion in the board packet. There are 3 different items that are currently at risk of lapsing funds as of June 30th, 2026. The first one is the Keikaha Bridge improvements. That is a $2.5 million CIP that was allocated in 2024. And one of the major reasons for, getting so close to the end is it was originally scoped and procured and contracted based on a design bid process. But as we went through the contract review process, it was recommended by the contracting folks that we should revert back and do a design bid build process, which required us to go all the way back to creating a new advertisement, posting it, creating a search committee, grading those, coming up with a decision, negotiating the contract, and the contract is currently with the design is with the, it's in the process of getting finalized. And Ken, is there anything else that you would like to add to that? It's kind of pretty much the sum of it. I think we have a plan and, Ken and I are monitoring this daily. And this is the largest bridge that exists within the ADC portfolio in Pecahah. It is a bridge that is used regularly by ag equipment and our farm tenants. However, in the event of a highway closure, it would be the main access point through our land to get to PMRF, which employs 1,000 people a day. So it's a significant CI.
So just a question, Wendy, so the timeline only starts in April. Is there, I thought we talked about the timeline of like when you folks applied, contract submit all the things that said changes, how did we get to where we are like 60 days from the funds lapsing? Because I think, the board knows what these projects are. It's a matter of like when they were appropriated, and we are now on the verge of like less than 60 days of us losing all these funds. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. These are all on Kauai.
No, 2R, one is not. One is primarily.
The 800,000.
Security funding.
So the two Kauai projects, is there a reason why we're within 50 days or whatever it is of us losing the money?
No, so Chair, if I may add on to what she mentioned, we had contracts in place for a design build, right, for this bridge. Cost estimates came in pretty high. And as we got to the contract ending date or to renew the design build contract, we were told that we could not, because we wanted to shift from a design build to a design bid build, which would eliminate a lot of the unknowns and kind of give us a better cost estimate, or at least a sounder bid versus having the unknowns. So in that process, we were told that the contract that we had for design build, this is back in, if you're asking timelines, the contract was probably executed, 2022 with some previous money. As we got into it, this is probably up to maybe last year of summer, June, July, we started to try to renew that contract, and that contract was not able to renew. So we had to basically re-procure and get back from probably beginning in October, November, re-procured everything. So we basically got up to the point to where we were at prior to it. And we're on the cusp of executing the contract and getting up to bid by June. That's the main goal.
Yes, Chair.
There is something called the blanket encumbrance that you could do. Why can't we use that option? You're not far enough along?
We are gonna do that option. So there's, yeah.
So there's really not a danger of lapsing if we can get the benefit.
If we, that's the part, right? That's the part
But
where
if you.
full disclosure is that if we don't get bids, correct, if we get bids, we can blanket encumber. We're also working with comptroller's office to see what other options can be done by going up.
You have a current contract in place.
That's what we're working on right now.
And that contract hasn't covered the funds.
No, so these are design.
Yeah,
So
but it's clear you can't change the scope of a contract that's been executed.
correct, so we're trying to get out to bid, by, mid-May. We can get out to bid, which we feel we're confident we can, if we can get this contract through. But it's just full disclosure, what Director is trying to explain to the board is that if we don't get it through, these funds could lapse, right?
If you don't get it through, you have a current contract that's encumbered and executed. No, what happened to that contract?
As I mentioned,
So what-
that contract was null and voided, right? We had to terminate, we had to.
You did terminate it.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
I'm
is the
sorry, I
whole
missed that
contract,
part.
right? And then we had to re-procure everything. So we're back at the design, right? So we were finalizing the design. That was told we cannot continue with that contract, and we were asked to re-procure everything, which we did. And we're basically trying to catch up, right? So if we can get out to bid by mid-May, we should be able to get bids by June, which we will blanket encumber at that.
True,
That's the goal.
okay.
But there's a lot that can happen from now and then. So, as she pointed out, her and I are monitoring this on a daily and having daily meetings with these contractors.
I do have another question.
Oh, go ahead.
Why was it necessary to terminate the contract before you had a plan B?
The scope, I guess the scope from a design build versus a scope of a design bid build is slightly different. And therefore, we were told that we cannot use the same.
You cannot use it, but, okay, so we
We had
can
to
talk later,
reprocure.
but you really, there were options rather than terminating the contract to put the board in this situation. You could have maintained that contract to the period, working through some other options, extending the term. I mean, you cannot change the scope that significantly, that's clear. But by terminating the contract when we did, it kind of put us in this position.
Little bit,
Yeah,
it kind of made us have to restart, so
yeah,
we
you
lost.
could have restarted at any point, but you choosing this point so close to the end of the fiscal kind
Yeah.
of puts you, yeah,
Put us in a little bind.
yeah. Next time.
Yeah. No, doesn't matter.
Thank you, Chair Hurd. Any further board discussion? Just a couple more comments. So that's why I was asking for the entire timeline, because then we can see, where, how the thing flowed, termination, et cetera. Another question, so on your timeline, item number 3, only 423-26 is completed, but 424 is not completed, it doesn't say. And then 427 to 51, that's today already. That's not completed. So I'm just trying to get an update on the reality of this getting completed.
Which one are we talking about?
This
The
first one,
0.5?
yes. So you have 423 as completed, 424 doesn't say completed, and then 427 to 51, that's today already.
Yeah, so where we are, we're trying to execute the contract, right? So our rush memo went to the gov, we have
It did go to the governor.
starting with the gov or it's a BNF. Once we get the approval for that and execute the contract. Get the bid docs together, get out to bid. The goal is to get out to bid by May. Or mid-May, actually, at the latest. So we don't have much time, but we have a little time to get done.
Okay,
This is just more of a precautionary, if things go south, right, there's not much margin of error right now where we are, so if things go south, it happens.
okay, thanks, Ken. Okay, Wendy, moving on to item 2,
Oh, did you want to talk about security funding or no?
the KK.
Oh, right, okay. So for the Kekaha Ag Processing Facility, we struggled at the beginning of getting all of the shareholders and stakeholders to understand the full scope of what everybody was intending that money to be used for. So once we were able to get that part figured out, we did go through procurement, chose a company to do a baseline analysis of the state of the building and have moved forward with procuring equipment. So we had to get a list of the equipment ranked in terms of equipment needs that would basically turn the building into a full-blown aggregation and processing facility. And where are we at with the equipment? We've got the equipment list, we run that over.
Yeah, so very similar to this one, similar to the last one. There was some contracting issues, right? We ran into some contracting issues. We're on the cusp of executing the contract and very similar to the previous one. We just need to get out to bid by mid-May. We have been working with KAA. We do have a consensus on what the priorities are. It's just a matter of executing the contract to get the bid docs together and getting that to go.
Then this was the same memo has already been sent to the governor's office.
This one actually has been already approved by the governor. It's just on us right now to get the contract with the contractor.
Okay.
So they're in receipt. Our AGs have provided comments. They're in receipt of the contract and just need to execute. Get out to bid by.
Okay, thank you.
So same thing, if all goes well, as Chair pointed out, we can blanket encumber. I just need bid tab, so I just need to be out to bid by.
Yeah,
We can do it.
We're confident we can do it just out of an abundance of caution. We wanna bring this up to your guys' attention.
Moving on, item 3.
So we currently have under contract, the original allotment was for 1.3 million. The balance between 801 and 1.3 is already under contract. For the 801,000, we are expecting on Friday to get the draft MOU from Department of Law Enforcement and to bring the MOU to the board in May, so that we would basically do a journal voucher transfer based on, and so we would not lapse the. So we would be working with the Department of Law Enforcement and getting added security in Central Law and helping us with the area there.
And this security services is for where?
The security contract.
Yeah.
Lot.
Oh,
So we have a stationary guard at Clockwell 24/7. And then we're switching over to these like live monitoring. We're setting up those kind of like what you see at that
Drones.
Walmart. Yeah, you see, yeah, exactly. Drones and those trailer cameras that you see.
This Hertz project.
No, the University of Hawaii has it, County of Hawaii, they're all moving towards these drone types of.
So this is good for ADC because we're not gonna use private security anymore.
We are using
Oh, yeah.
stationary guard at the Botwell. We still want a 24-hour presence, and, they do some checking and whatnot. But as far as like some of the other areas that kind of move around, we're finding the hot spots and putting up these security trailers.
All right. So same thing, this one went to the governor too, or?
Yeah, this one is actually, same thing, it's already been approved by director, I think I just saw something in my email. Basically execute the contract, and that one we should be able to encumber our portion. Just the 801 still needs to come in front of the board, to basically, make an agreement with the Department of Law Enforcement.
Okay, so we gotta get that on the May agenda.
Yes.
Okay,
And that's,
thank you, Ken. All right. I think that's it. Okay, sorry, Wendy, back to E1. This is the regarding current and pending grant applications.
So there's also a board submittal with that, and currently we have 2 active awards that we applied for and the board has agreed to accept. One is a grant for $75,000 from the Ulupono Initiative, and the other is for ETIP for $50,000, and so both of those are in motion. And there are some other opportunities that are currently pending. One of them is this Defense Community Infrastructure Program is something that is kind of like a unicorn grant. So we have not applied this round. We applied 2 years ago for this. It is up to $20 million and it is a no match. How often does that happen?
Didn't we help you with that one?
We did, we
Yeah.
did.
You're welcome.
And so, thank you, and we basically lost the last one on a technicality, we did the briefing for that. And they said, well, the receipt of a certain letter didn't look like it was signed, and so you're automatically disqualified. However, this project is exactly what this program was designed to do, and what it would do is repair all within the Kekaha land, so that there is a plan B for individuals going to work at PMRF. So we've been in talks with Department of Transportation because they know a lot more about bridges than we do. And they do have some grant resources available. They have eyeballed this grant in the past, never applied, and very interested in working with us in collaborating on, not that you didn't give great support last time, but that it might be a good collaboration moving forward. So that's, and the deliverable date is at the end of June. So that's when it closes. In regards to the FEMA by EMA, that is a grant that was applied for over 2 years ago. And we hadn't heard anything last fall on if we were gonna get anything, and then basically it's multiple rounds. So first you're invited to submit a project, and then based on the project, they will select people that they designate for a request for information. And so we got notified on April 1st that we had until April 30th to fill out a request for information, and this would be a grant that would total a little bit over $12 million, so it's on page 4 of the submission. So there's 2 phases. The first phase is a design, and the second phase is the actual implementation. So the design phase would possibly require, and this is not, we are not approved, we have just applied for it, so you know, we're not liable because we have not been approved and it hasn't come before the board. But potentially ADC's share would be 142,000, and it's 25% match to 75% federal share. And it's done in small phases, so if, you know, during the design phase, if we only have half the money, then we would go half as far, turn in the receipts for that, get reimbursed, and then move forward. But obviously, the largest portion is in it's basically on the execution, and it's clearing out land around specifically Wahiwa area. It's our land to integrate the buffers that you were talking about earlier, Chair Hurd, for wildfire. And best estimate is we might know something in July or August, but we go for long periods and we don't hear anything, so I'm not sure. There are several different community directed spending grants that were turned in last year with the help of the governor had resources to help with grant writing, and we were asked if we could use those last year. So we used those to apply for 3 different projects. One was looking at cold and like chiller and freezer capacity, and they would be individual units that would be located, and they are portable. They'd be located on the Shipman parcel on Big Island. And it's scalable in terms of, you know, it's modular. We had applied for 10 chillers and 10 freezers, and they said, you know, could you do 5? So we don't even know. We just applied. We have no idea if we're gonna get anything, if it's gonna be, we'll give you money for 2 freezers and 2 chillers, or we'll have enough money for 10 freezers and 10 chillers. But it can also be moved around. So if we maximize that space or it's better used elsewhere, the idea came in working with our board member Trump, who had looked at the parcel and knew the area, and it was something that we had chatted with Senator Inouye about, and she had written a letter of support for that. The second CDS was the Central Oahu Cold and Frozen Storage. Same thing, it would be 100,000, it would be 10 freezers, 10 refrigerators that would be located in Central Oahu. The maximum dollar of that amount available is $2 million, but we don't know. People get it, we just apply. So we don't know if that's gonna come through or not. And that's all we have applied for at this point, is the CDS, the DSIP that we didn't get, that we're gonna try and reapply for. We were successful with the Ulupono initiative. We were successful with the.
Any board questions, discussions?
I just have a question, Chair.
Sure.
The first grant that Katie mentioned was very impactful. We all supported it. The reason that I think we have a much better chance this year is because the time frame, as you recall, it was like we were really pressed for time, and some of the details that we needed would have involved a lot of research and engineering work, and it was lacking that piece. But I think it's a much stronger application this time. The way we can all help this application is to contact our anyone that knows someone within the defense community, and let them know that this really has a lot of impact to the state. Contacting our Codell would be good, but it would solve a lot of problems, I think. And to Wendy's point, she's worked very hard on it. It's a very competitive grant. So, I mean, no match is excellent, but I believe the competition should be heavy. So more support from the board would be really well received. Thank you.
Well, thank you to your grant writer too.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. It was such a compressed timeline and your staff went above and beyond in helping us make the deadline, which seemed impossible, and we made the deadline. And that was the first grant we had ever done in our history. And we're working
So,
hard.
Wendy, so, there's a couple questions. So, $75,000 from Ulupono.
Mhm.
We've authorized 35,000 to go to UHCDC for to finish the strategic plan
Correct,
update.
right.
And then the second part was $40,000 to allow EDC to remain compliant with the law with respect to our minutes and all that. And I just want to know what the status was, because we haven't approved minutes in a long time.
Yes, we went through the professional development procurement process. And we hired a professional services company. They brought us 3 applicants. We chose one. We did the background check. She did a single meeting and broke her hand. So they came back and gave us 3 more applicants. We did the screening for the 3, chose one, and then she has cancer. So now we're back to another screening, the 3rd round of a guy, and at least he's made it through the screening, and we're hopeful that he can start on May 1st, as long as he doesn't have cancer and break an arm. So hip hooray on that one.
Okay, yeah, because we gotta get that stuff completed, because there's legal deadlines for minutes and all that, so. And then question on the Hilo and the Central Wall. So what is the budget for those grants? Because they do have matching funds, and as far as I know, EDC has no funds available.
So we, the cap was 2 million. And they said it was highly unlikely that we would get 2 million. It would probably be somewhere in the range of 1 million, which means that our match would potentially be $250,000. And Chair, could you, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but you have so much more experience with the CBS timeline, like, okay, so we put in now, when would we potentially?
Good question. It's a big question mark with any one of either the congressional directed spending or the community projects, either the House or the Senate. It's really, it's a big question mark to get approved and when you're gonna get your money. The match, though, I can speak to. I just checked on the status of our admin bill to allow for an account, and I think we're gonna be fine with it. So what we wanted that account, special grant funded account, to do is provide matching funds for state grants. So again, would have been nice to have wide support for the bill. And if we are successful with this bill, we do have a grant right now. Thank you to our grant writer Leslie. It's 8.89 million. Our NICRA right now is 12.5%. That puts about $500,000 in this account. What we asked for is consideration from the legislature to allow us to put 50% of any indirect costs that come to the state into the special fund, so that we could use that fund to generate more grants. And if we're successful in getting this, then we'll have 500,000 to start. And based on the value of the award, we can cover the 250. I know, we should all start crying right now, literally. It took us, the scars are not visible because they're all psychological, but it was a tough go, and thank you to Leslie and the team for fighting for it. But that, should this come through, you have your 250. Okay? Thanks. And the timeline was a question? Mm-hmm. I'm told by DLNR was very successful with some earmarks. Just be patient. It could be 3 to 5 years. It could be a long time. So, but the victory is that you get it. Victory is that you apply and your CODEL fights for it through the appropriations committee. And then if you get it, that's your victory.
So the 250, so but that's for the cold storage?
I'm not sure.
Or just 250 in general?
No, it'd be 250 for the cold storage.
Yeah.
Okay,
If we would get anything.
No, understood, but the project timeline is. But when is the 250 due?
It's supposed to be due now. You have to put a letter of commitment in with your earmarks that you have the money.
Okay,
We've not been asked to do that yet. Okay.
and then the Central Oahu cold storage.
Same, if we were to get $1 million, we would need to come up with $250,000 to do a match.
And what's the timeline for that?
Like when we would need to have the money?
You applied. for it?
Yeah,
We did apply for it.
The appropriation committee is meeting now, and if it's made through the first gate, I guess session ends in the fiscal year ends in September, so, the timeline might be, June, I'm not sure.
oh.
Okay.
No, what I'm trying to figure out is when does ADC have to pay its
Oh.
portion?
I'm
Cause I'm just
sorry.
worried about I'm more worried about our
Commitment.
budget commitments, yeah. That's kind of.
One of the funding tools that we have available to us is we have the ability to, work with impact investors and to, I don't like to use the word solicit because that always sounds like.
No, I guess, Wendy, I understand that, but the point I'm trying to make is I'm trying to figure out like, we're all kind of committed to these dollar amounts. So I'm not looking for aspirational responses. I'm looking for like, there's money in the bank. I'm trying to figure out, because we're committed, right? We're doing these projects. So we have money that's owed.
Well, we're not committed. We applied, but we have not been selected for anything.
But are there requests in at the ledge now for funding for this stuff?
No, we did not request from the ledge. We filled out the applications in February for these individual grants for the CDS.
It would be difficult to get the ledge to agree to funding until we know we won.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, this is the catch-22 with the federal grants. You get money, but then you got to pony up some money. I don't think if you guys win the grant and you can't come up with the money, I don't think you're going to be liable for that $250,000.
No, understood, but I think like it goes back to my question about the budget, right? Like, I mean, how do we have a running P&L almost for ADC where we have a dollar amount, and when things get encumbered, right, you're gonna apply for 2 million grants, so you need $500,000, encumber that, take it off your ledger essentially. I mean, I guess I'm trying to get to a point where we can see our finances, because even when we get these land transactions where we might need $100,000 here, $50,000 there to maybe augment like the Grove Farm purchase, we just don't know where we sit fiscally. And so I just wanted to, I'm kind of trying to get to a point of like, I think it's great to apply for all these grants. But especially on the federal side, there are matching requirements, and we're gonna go through the exercise of having Chair Hurd staff write these grants, which are massive, with the chance that we may not finalize it because we don't have the money. That's what concerns me more.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a structural issue with a lot of state agencies, and maybe why they aren't so proactive with going after grants is because you got to figure out how to work with the timing of the whole situation. But I don't want it to prevent us from trying, at the end of the day.
No. I think it's not to prevent. I think it's more how do we support it, right? Like, and that's like getting a budget together, even with our lease rent and all that kind of stuff, trying to figure out how we can, account for these things so we can set aside dollars, and when we do get it, we're ready to go, but thank you. Any further board discussion?
Just, Chair, your point is well taken. It's fiscally responsible to not apply for a grant, that you can't support for the match. But to Jesse's point, then does that mean you just sit on it?
No.
So it's kind of like what the department has chosen to do is develop and ask for the special account. And we're going to, the more and more money we can deposit into it, makes it a very, very comfortable place to be when we apply for grants. The last point I'm gonna make is the very, very popular specialty crop block grant program has a bill going through the Appropriations Committee now, as they put together the Farm Bill, that it's gonna require a match both at the state level and at the sub-grant level. And we are fighting that tooth and nail because it's just, it's been a very successful match. And I don't imagine that, I mean, a very successful program. It would really limit the number of applicants to those that can have a match, which is not the intent of the grant. So it seems to be the trend is my closing remark. And so the more support we can get to put money into this special account, the better the state will be to be competitive in the grant process in this new administration.
So that's in your department?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Thanks to people like Ulufono, very, very supportive of that. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jesse.
seed money there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesse. Okay, moving on to item F3. It's presentation by the ED regarding costs associated with the NPDS permit.
So Chair, we currently have 3 items that are unfunded liabilities. There are 3 different items that were requested by ADC in the budget process in the fall. The first is a line item for $100,000, which was to develop the NPDES plan, which was a condition of the permit. The second is approximately $650,000 for monitoring. And by monitoring, that is sampling, testing, meaning shipping it to a lab on the mainland, and then recording the results and providing reporting monthly in some cases to the Department of Health and to the EPA. And then the last item is the legal costs associated. So just as a timeline, the process for this permit started over 5 years ago. That's when the permit was actually applied for. In the interim, while we waited for the permit to come handed down by the Department of Health, we were under a settlement compliance in order to be compliant with the discharge into the ocean. So we've been following that for the last 4 years, in essence. It was March of 2025 is when our contract ended with PMRF for operating and maintaining the pumps. And that really was the reason that we applied for the permit 5 years ago. It was a condition of operating the pumps, as we need to have the permit to do that. The permit was handed down at the end of August. We had 30 days by a court order in which to comply with that permit. And by complying, that meant to follow procurement procedure, to solicit a plan, get the plan approved by the Department of Health. Once the plan was approved by the Department of Health, go through procurement again for the actual monitoring of the permit. We had 2 weeks in which to file a contested case in terms of contesting, the extent of the permit, the number of tests that we had to do for the permit, and we did make that timeline. And so, to your point, originally the board had authorized $150,000 for legal fees. And that was in expectation of creating a rebuttal and to be at a public hearing on May 12th. That said, these are the concerns that we have about the draft permit as it's currently issued. So we did put that into the budget requests, and we've been, talking to the folks at DBED. We've been talking to folks at the ledge, because this is definitely, in the quiet area. But it, to your point, it is an unfunded liability. It's something that we don't have the money to do.
I guess I just want to know them, like, for now, can we just the numbers first? Like,
Yep. $100,000 for the plan development, $650,000 for the monitoring, which will change based on if we're doing pumping, or if we're doing operate and maintain of the pumps, that will change, but hopefully we can recover any of those costs. And, our current legal bill is about $800,000 in legal costs.
in addition to the 150.
In addition to the 150. The 150 has been paid.
Okay.
the contested case hearing happened mid-December and we were expecting to hear within 2 to 3 weeks what the results were going to be. We did not hear the results for 3 months. And during that time period and not hearing the results of the contested case hearing, our legal folks needed to prepare for going to trial. And trial had been scheduled in April. So that was one of the reasons that we were racking up legal bills in preparation for the trial. And the contested case determination came down. It basically is requiring ADC to continue with the monitoring at the current level. And it allows the Department of Health time to look through all of the comments, and ADC submitted a 9-page letter in response to the draft permit contesting, some of the conditions of the permit. So we have a period of time that, we can work with the Department of Health, and that was one of the things that was requested in the contested case determination, was to try and work with the Department of Health to come up with a permit that would be more defensible or more in line. But we have not started, we've not engaged with any, legal counsel for that. And on one hand, this is crazy. It's a crazy amount of money. It's like $2 million.
Well, I wanna just think, because the board, the board on a budget from a fiduciary responsibility, I just want the members to understand that, because, this is a lot of money. And when Chair Tabata was chair, the original authorization for was 150,000, right? And then, in January of this year, you came to us saying that you wanted to execute a supplemental contract because the cost was exceeding that. The discussion was around 1.1 million. And on March 9th, the deputy AG's office let me know that we are at like 1.5, 1.6 million. And I'm just kind of curious because, the lawyers are now asking for payment. ADC can ADC make payment?
We cannot.
So what's the plan financially? How are we gonna, because the cost is going up and yet you guys have not asked the board to opine on, any authorization for expenditure. So I'm just curious to know, at what point,
Even over and beyond that is the discussions with the Department of Health are crucial to the amount that we're gonna have to pay in the long run. That has to be negotiated like right away, because if we're able to negotiate down on what we have to monitor, that's gonna affect the costs. So, those kind of talks have to be started right away to me. So that then we might have even a better idea of what it's gonna cost, in the long run too.
So this is where I hesitate, because I just, all these numbers without a budget, and I just don't know, it's a running tab, and the ledge is already adjourning and there's no appropriation for this at all. The lawyer's asking for payment. I just, kind of want to get more guidance onto what the plan is. And what that light at the end of the tunnel, looks like.
I had asked about emergency appropriations and, was instructed that that was not the route to go. And that there could be an option of, contingency funds that BNF holds back for DBED. That was a possibility of, funding. And another possibility was that it would just get put into the budget.
But that did not happen.
I have not heard.
Okay, can you look into that and let us know, because I just, want to make sure we can cover all this, and then as soon as possible, if you guys could get something to the admin committee, they can help put together a budget.
Chair, Member Wicker
Yes.
has his hand raised.
Deputy Director Wicker, sorry, go ahead.
If I can add to that, when the emergency appropriation was asked for, the same things that you're asking for, we did, so we could justify what those expenses are and why we need the request. They were very high when they first came in proposed during the interim. And then again, when there was the EA process, we couldn't justify the request because we've been asking ADC for a detailed budget, revenues, expenditures for counties so we can understand what's coming in, what we have in reserves, and then tighten up what truly are the expenditures for this. We haven't received it. So it's hard for us to support any request if we can't justify what they're going towards. So the same stuff you've been mentioning, asking for items on this agenda, we haven't received yet.
Thank you, Deputy Director.
Because I heard the comment earlier about we've been talking with DBED and we haven't received any information. We've been asking since last summer.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Wendy, so when can we expect these documents to be, I guess, answered or turned over, or, you know, this is not punitive, we're trying to help, you know, the board has a fiduciary responsibility and liability if we can't pay these bills, and so I just hesitate to obligate us to more stuff, like even this Grove Farm thing, right, it's hard because like I don't know where we sit financially. So if we can get something to the admin committee to help work on, be helpful. Okay, any other board discussion? If not, moving on to item F4, everyone's, briefing about ED on track legislation, and we are in the home stretch of that, so.
Well, first of all, let's start by congratulating new chair and board member Hinazumi and future board member Umitara, who all received 100% Senate confirmation. And great job with that. So it's official. In regards to the state budget, that is still in negotiation right now. And last night, Senate Bill 2169, a bill was made with the condition that the condemnation ability will not apply to assets owned by individual counties. So if a county has an ag park, EDC is not going to go in and condemn the ag. And there was a great deal of emphasis on friendly condemnation and working with individuals on, you know, water systems or ag lands. And the Senate Bill 2320 is still moving along, and that is allocating funds to CTAR to create a workforce development program for folks in ag. The Senate Bill 2360 has not been scheduled. Senate Bill 2405, that's Gerhard's bill with the workforce housing, which we had testified in the past, and we moved to just monitoring because technically the board has never taken a position, you know, in terms of housing. We don't have a policy.
This is the working group?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Member head at Seton might be trying to get ready.
Well, ADC is included in the working group.
We get one person, or?
I believe it's gonna be you.
Oh, we can, but she's the housing
What does
person, or designee? Okay, good.
Yep. 2407 had included at one point property on the Big Island, and at this point it is only including a property manager on the Big Island. And in one of the draft budgets, and obviously we're a ways from the finish line here, there had been a line item for purchasing lands on the Big Island, but that's not final. So this bill is alive for a position. In regards to the Senate Bill 2595, this bill has not moved, so it's kind of on pause. And that had to do with the concept that when EDC purchases land, for example, with Grove, and this came out of WAM meetings, we're paying market rate. And when the board sets and has always set individual license rates, so it's not standard, it's not based on, you know, market of appraisal, it's really up to the board to determine, and we've done market appraisals recently, but it's still up to the board to determine. But this bill would provide an incentive such that if individual farmers committed to growing product for the DOE or for institutional purchasing or for FPIN, they would get more favorable terms for their land licensing. The Senate Bill 2598 is looking at any special funds, and we do have two, like the special funds and revolving funds, that would be our Waipole revolving fund that would potentially be used to offset shortfalls on the general side. And it would also include our 312, our operating. And we have written commentary back that says, you know, for our Waipole funds, it looks like we have a nice stash, but in October, we have bonds that are due and interest payments that are due. So that fund comes specifically out of water delivery fees. It pays for the staff, and then it pays for debt service for that. And with our account, that's basically our working capital is the 312. In regards to Senate Bill 2800, that has proceeded nicely, and that is currently at WAM, and that is allocating money for the Department of Ag and Biosecurity, for the Department of Land and Natural Resources, and for Agribusiness Development Corp to have funds to upgrade water systems across the state. But there is no definition of what money is allotted to that bill at this point. The Senate Bill 2805 has not been scheduled for additional hearings, nor has Senate Bill 2907. I'm just going to skim through things. Again, for the workforce housing, you know, originally we were included in some bills, and so we testified in support, but then we backed off of anything with housing because we really need to have direction from the board. The Senate Bill 3320 is still alive, and that is why Anella has not been here earlier. She was actually at a conference in regards to that. The Senate Bill 3332 basically was going to put restrictions in regards to certain state agencies and traveling, and that has not moved forward. Many of these other things have just kind of died. There's House resolutions in regards to food security, in regards to the ag tourism, in regards to the ADC land acquisition, but the resolution for SCR 126 and SR 118, there's no money. So it's kind of hard to fulfill that resolution if we don't have money to buy land. Does anybody have any questions? I was kind of going through things pretty quickly.
Sure.
Yes, you know, I got a question on Senate Bill 2595. Yo, they say appraised market value and stuff like that, but they don't put any parameters on like what, you know, what we're allowed to do. It's like, you know, they make these bills and don't put any parameters on it, and it just makes it harder to implement at the end of the day. So that's my comment on that. And I'll say something like that. Yeah, I mean, this shit, it's so subjective. It's like, why have it? You know? So you can put that to the legislature.
Did somebody else say they had a question that night?
Chair.
I wanted to know with the team, and I testified, that we testified on behalf.
Yeah, I don't know. That's that.
Sorry, try to say something again. So you're on 2595.
2595, yeah.
Yeah. Cause. Yeah. I imagine it's gonna be a lot of work for ADC too to like come up with a procedure. Yeah.
Exactly, you know, it's like, they could give some kind of parameters.
So if I grow an acre of tomatoes, then am I in? Do I get?
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, then I'll give 10 pounds to, the school system, and I'll go and sell the other 100 pounds someplace else. And I will get a discount. The micro purchase. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. It's like,
This one is still moving?
Yes,
Okay.
but lots of things may not be moving as of the end of this week.
Chair,
Sure.
I'm gonna put my ag resource management staff on the line here and say that should this bill pass, we do have that provision in our ag.
Which one are you looking at?
2595, the one in discussion.
Mhm.
And we will be happy to work with the ADC to come up with some parameters on how you can collect monies on profits.
Oh,
Yeah, it's in our lease, so I can hear them screaming through the mic there. Thank you.
I miss going to the lakes.
Uh-huh. Is that it? Sorry, we're at the end. That was that. Yeah.
that's it.
Oh, so STR 126 is moving too, you said, right? That's,
It is, but it would be something that's an unfunded resolution up to we acquire land.
There's never money in there.
Yeah. However, there is a line item, well, there was a line item in one of the budgets, I don't know.
well, I think the resolution is probably to support the budget item.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, right there, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a public?
Oh, sorry, is there anyone from the public who wishes to testify?
Seeing none, Chair.
All right. Any other further board discussions? If not. On to adjourn, the one that's missing.
Is Jennifer trying to say something?
Hey, Jennifer.
She's on mute.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Chair, did we defer items 1 and 2, D 1 and 2, or was that taken out of order where we're gonna go back to that? The permitted interaction group reports?
We deferred.
Oh, we deferred. Sorry,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure we went
Trying
out of order.
to keep the agenda moving today.
Okay, then, yeah, sorry, that was the only thing I noticed.
Oh, okay, no worries. All right, having no further business before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Option.
Thank you, Board Vice Chair Yokohama. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Okimoto. Are there any objections or abstentions? I think do we got a roll call on this?
No.
No, we don't?
If there's no objections or abstentions, you can consider it
Alright.
unanimous and you don't need to roll call.
All right, hearing none, the motion is unanimously approved. The meeting is adjourned at 12:08. Thank you, board members, for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
We're done.
Oh, this one was the